In my books, hate is a very strong word. And yet I can strongly say that I hate Instacart as a company. But why do I hate Instacart so much? Well, if you keep on listening, I'll be glad to tell you why. Last week on the Dash with Ash, I spoke to you lovelies about double and triple stacked orders. And long and behold, Instacart is not short any of those. Because Instacart loves to slap on double and triple stacked grocery orders and expect you to get them done in a timely fashion and actually make a lot less money. When I used to work for Instacart, there was no way you could ever bypass getting a simple one batch Instacart client with Instacart without getting a second or a third tacked on. And what Instacart is notorious for is adding a non-tip shopping customer along with a tipping shopping customer and trying to make that work out. Now, this might sound a little bit biased because Uber Eats will do the exact same thing, so will DoorDash, when it comes to food delivery orders. But in my opinion, food delivery orders and grocery orders are far from in the same category. You see, when I accept a food delivery order, whether it's a double stacked or not with my customers on Uber Eats, I generally know what I'm getting myself into. I will check out these two restaurants and see how long they normally take based on my experience by going into them. So that way I have a forecasted time slot and it's not me depending on me to make that food. I'm going to choose a double stacked order where the restaurant is a common one that I deliver from, and then go drop it off to my customers. But when it comes to a double stacked grocery order, I don't put it in the same category because it's simply not the same category. When you have to go and do grocery orders, it's you relying on you to get everything picked up, but there's also the concept of return and exchanges. And for anybody that's never done food deliveries for groceries, it's a pain in the ass to deal with, and these companies do not make it any easier. My issue with Instacart is if you know that it's going to take us a lot of time to get two customers done, we have return or exchange policies that we have to oblige by on these applications. How dare you turn around and make me do groceries for two customers, relying on one customer's tip and not even paying out decently for that second customer that's not even tipping. Last time I checked, we don't want to live in poverty when it comes to making and earning, but Instacart believes that that's more than okay to do because they've done it on a number of times. Let's put double, triple batches on the side for a moment and talk about the real burden that Instacart has applied towards us delivery drivers or shoppers or whatever you want to call yourself. When I first started doing Instacart deliveries, the best part is I record them, so the proof is in the pudding. But when I first started doing Instacart deliveries, you can look back in my videos here on YouTube and you can see the fact that they used to do so much more. For items that were over 50 pounds or more, you would get a $10 incentive, a $5 incentive, depending on how many pounds was over 50. But when it becomes degrading is when we have to beg for that. And when it becomes more degrading is when they take it away altogether, even if you ask nicely for money that you were entitled to begin with, when the company decides to just take it away because they can, because you're an independent contractor. As a gig worker, many of us gig workers put up with enough bullshit that's coming from these companies by degrading our base fare pay. But when you're talking about changing my base fare from, let's say, $3.25 to $3, that's not as bad as taking off these $5 and $10 incentives, because gig workers get paid based on those gigs. And when it comes to groceries, they are far more heavy than the simple task of going to the restaurant and picking up the food. So since when does Instacart get off thinking that it's okay to be removing bigger pay incentives versus what all the other companies have been doing, which is simply docking the base fare. No, they don't want to dock the base fare. They want to dock what you're entitled to, even though you've worked hard for it, simply because they can. You know what I wouldn't mind doing? I wouldn't mind taking that $5 or $10 for heavy pay items and dangle it in front of the CEO's face and tell her to go fetch the orders. Why doesn't she get off her lazy ass and go get these orders instead of us? Because she has no problem taking her money and putting it back in her pocket. But wait, she also has the nerve to show up on the news once Instacart becomes part of the stock market and lie in front of everybody and say that she puts her shoppers first and takes good care of her shoppers, when meanwhile all she's doing is lying through her teeth. I don't know how a CEO can sleep at night knowing that she's not just lying to the public, but she's also lying to herself. I've even said it before, when it comes to Instacart, they lie about another category, the Refer a Friend program. They will take your friend's code and take it into consideration. But what's going to happen is they're going to give them a 30-day quota, and they're going to tell you 3 weeks in that it's expired for their Refer a Friend code. Why? Because Instacart does not have a proper Refer a Friend system, and all they want to do is scam shoppers into recruiting new shoppers for them and not properly paying them out. It's amazing how I've gotten at least 16 referrals, but only one of them has gone through. But all these other individuals have messaged me and said they have completed their batches within 30 days. What's the problem? And I don't have an answer, because Instacart is not just screwing with them, but they're also screwing around with me. So here's something that might not bug too many drivers, but it 100% bugs me. I can understand that there's a lot of people that will pick up their phone and send a friendly text message. It's not hands-free and it is actually illegal, but people do it every day. But did you know that Instacart forces you to be illegal? And it's not Instacart that's paying the tickets once this happens. Let me explain. If you want to call customer service with Instacart, you can't do that. First of all, Instacart's customer service is outsourced to India. No surprise there, there's outsourcing all around the globe. However, they don't allow us to call them. So because of that, last time I checked, when you're a gig worker or a delivery driver, you need to be hands-free because you're driving. But if I need help on a situation or a batch, not only am I going to be wasting time sitting there and messaging back, but I'm also wasting money because I can't go on accepting another batch or another order like I could with Uber Eats when I'm on the phone with them, because my hands are super occupied texting back. So not only does Instacart not care about your safety or well-being, but they clearly don't care if you're even going to make money with them because they're too busy keeping you tied down to message them back. Between a horrible CEO that does not care about any of us, between customer service that you can only reach through chat that's not even located in your country, between heavy batch pay that you're not going to get paid out anymore because they don't care enough to pay you, and between getting double or triple customers for grocery orders when refunds and exchanges are already complex with one, I think if I name this list and I go on, you can understand why I truly hate Instacart. Instacart is the most degrading gig company to work for. They make me feel degraded. The only time I've made good money on Instacart is when the customers would tip me. Other than that, I don't make the money from Instacart directly. And then let's go through this last thing that I've went through recently with Instacart, and they're spreading it around the globe. Their new terms of services. Well, we can't advertise the truth on YouTube or anything else if you sign their new terms and services, because Instacart is trying to control the narration between individuals and the public. But then additional, you can't be part of a class action lawsuit if people merge as a group, because Instacart is controlling your capability of doing so if you decide to work for them. Last time I checked, leadership was done by being a leader and putting your people first. But Instacart doesn't care about that. The CEO only cares about covering her tracks and trying not to make things to the public. And I'm sorry, sweetheart, but things are going to get out. And to tell people not to get involved in a class action lawsuit as a group is just you truly hiding your tracks. It amazes me that Instacart is even in the stock market with all these things out there. But companies have a very good PR team nowadays in order to try to wipe things off the record. But as long as Instacart exists, I'll keep making videos, and they're definitely not going to be to compliment them as a company. Normally, at the end of every one of my podcast episodes, I say something positive to end it off. But in this case, there is truly nothing positive about Instacart in my books. For you, it may be different. Hell, I hope it is. But for me, I can't end things off at a positive note if I haven't heard one positive thing since leaving Instacart. If you want to join Instacart, that choice is yours. If you work for Instacart, that's a-okay. But in my books, Instacart and me, we're done with that relationship, and I am more than okay with that. Next week on The Dash with Ash, I'm gonna go through with you lovelies the difference between Uber Eats and DoorDash. I'll catch you lovelies in the next episode.